So what do you make of today's announcements? Bigger, the iPad Pro and all these different new iPhones.
Well, and the Apple TV new versions are quite significant. I think that's one of their most dramatic announcements today. But the thing about Apple is, for years, people have been saying, what's the next iPhone? You know, because nothing has been a bigger hit than that in business, really, in recent years. So the idea, could they do it again? And they've really made a big push on Apple TV. They've upgraded the watch today. But I think what's happening at the same time is the iPhone continues to do so well, and they continue to do such a good job upgrading that the iPhone still remains the central story. They've got really impressive new features on the iPhones today. I think the TV stuff might be important. The watch thing continues to sort of struggle, but this is still an iPhone company.
So then why did we see the stock fall to lows on the iPhone talk when it seemed like the market reacted more disappointingly?
They don't agree with me, that's why. I mean,
what do you see that, say, an ordinary investor did not see?
Well, I mean, look, this is the most highly valued company. People look at it under a microscope. There's tons of trading action for all kinds of reasons around it. I hesitate to even opine why those things happen. As far as I'm concerned, Apple continues to be beautifully well positioned with the iPhone because it is still by far the most popular, highest quality phone on the planet that's growing like crazy. And what they did today in their announcements will keep it at a cutting edge. I mean, Samsung did a huge launch in Barcelona in January or whenever it was, February, trying to, come up with something better than the iPhone. It didn't really take off nearly the way it needed to. And now the iPhone's really leapfrogged that. So there really isn't competition for the iPhone at the top of the line of smartphones globally. And people all over the world know that. They have a global market, and they still have tons of people to sell it to.
David, going to throw something at you. This idea that Apple wants to dominate not just the business, but they want your eyeballs. They want your ears with Beats. They want your voice with Siri. They want it all, don't they?
Well, they've come close.
They want your heart because of the health, right?
Right, well, the reason I mention it like this is because...
Right,
well, the reason I mention it like this is because we say, oh, the iPhone. But it's not just an iPhone. It's a camera. It's a voice recorder. It's a music player. I mean, it's all of these other gadgets that are now being incorporated into this one device.
And they do integrate their products quite well. One of the things they talked about today is that if you're playing a game on your iPhone and you walk into your house, it will automatically switch onto your Apple TV and you continue playing right exactly where you dropped off, which is just the kind of cool thing that they think through extremely well.
But is that enough to, say, move the traditional gamers from, say, the PlayStation consoles to the Apple TV? Or is this for people like me who are like, yeah, I can play Ticket to Ride on my my TV now?
I think it's more for people like us. It's the really hardcore gamers are going to stay with the PlayStation and Xbox primarily. But to broaden the potential community of gaming and to make it bring it into the home for ordinary people, ordinary families. There's a lot of families that orient their lives still around the TV. Gaming could be a big part of what happens next. On the other hand, I don't think Apple TV is ever going to be a product at the scale of the iPhone. Nothing Apple is likely to ever do will be a product at the scale of the iPhone. But as I said before, it's amazing how well they keep the iPhone good and better than everything else. And so it just continues powering forward.
David, what about the price points that are being announced? No one gets a subsidized phone anymore. You either buy the phone outright or you have to pay through installments. Is that in Apple's favor?
Well, I don't think the pricing is going to be a determinant of the success of the iPhone either way. I mean, many of the carriers will still offer similar plans as they have in the past. So, these are high-end products for people who have more money than average. These are for people who don't want the cheapest thing. These are the products, Steve Jobs, when he was alive, always talked about being the BMW of computing. And they still more or less occupy the high ground when it comes to technology products. And I don't think that's going to change. I don't think it needs to change. Aspirationally, more and more people want to be using the best products. So I think that's why they continue to lead the world in smartphones.
Does China pose a risk for them right now? If you look, about 28% of their sales come from there. We've seen the yuan devalued potentially even more.
Yes, I don't know if they pose a threat. It's certainly a challenge for any company that has a huge portion of their business in China, which Apple does. What happens next with the Chinese economy is an open question. On the other hand, the government in China is pushing so hard to keep consumption as the driver that they're going to do what they can domestically to keep people buying stuff. A lot of people buy iPhones in China. It's not the leading smartphone in China. In fact, I think it's number 3. It has a huge, huge business there. gigantic for Apple, and I don't think that in the short term that's in jeopardy.
Going to go in the weeds for just a second. When do you think Apple is going to make it compatible to send an iMessage to an Android phone and vice versa?
That's not the kind of thing they do. I doubt if
they don't want you to talk to anybody outside
Apple
the
is
ecosystem.
very Apple-centric. They want to suck everybody to their stuff, and they act like the rest of the world doesn't even exist, unfortunately.